This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation, welcome back to another wonderful, lovely, fantastical book talk. Well, that word didn't work. I thought it was going to work, didn't work. Anyway, version. So, will you be of Bells with Books? I am your host, Miranda Berthold, and of course, I am here with one of my actual real life best friends, Bianca.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I am slightly a little bit sunburnt.
Yeah. You went to the beach?
I went to the beach yesterday. Okay, and it wasn't like... It was pleasant outside if you were at the beach because of the breeze, but it was actually 116 degrees yesterday.
No, ma'am.
So...
No, ma'am. No,
yeah.
ma'am. It was 82 here yesterday. No.
It was 116 here.
Keep it.
I'm pretty sure I had heat stroke. I drank 100, and I think the last count was 45 ounces of water yesterday.
Yes. You drank your weight in water.
I literally did. It was, and I didn't even pee a lot. That's how I knew I was dehydrated.
Oh, you were absolutely dehydrated.
And I went to bed with a headache. And yeah, I'm slightly pink today, but I have Native American blood in me, so I'll be good by tomorrow.
I do not have enough. So if that had been me, you all know that I would have woke up the next day like a lobster. I've been a lobster.
One of the girls I went with, I won't say who because I don't want to embarrass her.
I'm pretty sure I know who. Hey, you ready today?
She was super red, super duper red. She just left to go back home a few minutes before we started recording, and her chest was terrible. I was like, I'm so sorry. And we had a tent and everything. Like, I don't know how she got that bad sitting under a tent.
Listen, some of us girls be pasty white, and we're like the whitest white girls on the planet. And that is how, even with a tent and sunscreen, we burn. It's a gift that we don't want. We'll give it away.
Yeah, this is like peak summer right now. August is like the literal worst here in the South. For those who are not in the South listening to us, it's pretty terrible.
I don't know if we have any European listeners. I need to check that out. But if you're European like me, we are not dying. We're not dying over here. We're okay. Actually, it was like fall for like 3 weeks because I sent you and Susan like a screenshot or something, and I was like, I'm sorry, it'd be 60 here. What?
We're over here in triple digits.
You're like, we're gonna die. Dehydration.
I'm like, fine because I think I'm secretly one of the lizard people because I'm fine with my heat lamp and the deadly laser from the sky.
I think you are too, because I remember sending you a video when it was snowing one day, and you were like, no.
I don't like cold, and I really don't like wet cold.
It's not, though. Like, I don't know how to explain it to you. It's because when it snows, all the moisture is not in the air anymore. It's on the ground. So, like, it's not cold or wet cold. I don't know. You have to experience it but yes. Scientifically, the weather, it snows, so all the moisture is out of the air. So it's not as cold. It really isn't. And then some days it is just cold. But anyway, so that's our news because that's the kind of lives that Bianca and I live. We read and we complain about the weather because I won't say how old I am, but I'm old. That's what we do now. I have noticed, though, it's a steady progression. Have you noticed, everyone? It's like once you hit 30, discussing the weather is normal.
Well, yeah, because it affects your body now.
It does. And your whole life.
Like, especially Which this started happening in my 20s, but I started getting really bad migraines like before a huge storm would hit. So I started paying attention to when it would be storming. And now when it gets super cold, now my back is all like, no ma'am.
Yeah. It's like I broke an ankle in high school, and so now when it is going to snow or it's going to be really, really cold, my ankle will like physically start throbbing.
Ew.
Yeah, it'll just be like, hey, that hurt, hey, and I'll be like, oh, it's going to snow.
You're like Lorelai Gilmore.
I guess so.
You can just
I
feel the
forgotten.
snow.
Yeah, you just feel it, smell it. Well, sometimes you just feel and sense and smell all of the updates in the book world, whether you want to or not, because sometimes they good and sometimes they bad. I think the one that you have to bring us today, book news wise, I actually did not know what you were talking about when you said you wanted to tell everyone. I was shocked. I thought it was something else. In full transparency, I thought when you said, I'm going to tell you about this, that you were referring to Amazon First Reads, and you were not. So please explain to myself and the lovely listeners at home your news on Amazon Original Stories.
So if you are a Prime member, I'm sure everyone who's a Prime member knows, you get Amazon First Reads, which is where the first of the month they give you a selection of books and you can go in and choose whichever of those books, or you can get all of them if you want to. And you have first dibs at reading them, basically. Amazon also has another program called Amazon Original Stories. According to the website, it's Amazon Original Stories brings unforgettable short fiction and nonfiction to Kindle. Single sitting reads from best-selling authors, acclaimed storytellers, and new voices. I discovered this because it was an ad on Goodreads the other day when I logged in. And if you go to the page right now, I'm looking at it. They have like a spotlight section. So they have one by Mindy Kaling, one by Dean Koontz, one by N. Kane Jemisin, David Sedaris, Alice Hoffman. So there's quite a few like popular authors you can choose from. The one that drew me in that I have pulled up right now is actually a series. And it took me a second to figure it out. It's a 6-book series, and each book in the series is by a different author. But the first one is Nita Prose. She's the one who wrote The Maid. Hers is titled Murder at the Royal Ruby. It's only 27 pages. It's very, very, very short. And it looks like they're all about that length. The second one in the series is The Mosquito by B.A. Paris. There's one by Minka Kent. I've never heard of that person, so I apologize. Julie Clark wrote the fourth one. And then Chris... Oh, I never pronounced his name correctly. What else did he write? Because I know that name. Bohjalin. Yeah. Let's see. He wrote... It's Chris Bohjalin. I probably butchered that. But he wrote Hour of the Witch, and now that I see his face, I'm like, oh yeah, I know what he's written.
Bohjalin.
Yeah, that dude.
I had to look. I was like, I know how to say this. Bohjalin.
But yeah, so if you're an Amazon Prime member, you have access to Amazon Original Stories. So you can log in and get a little fiction or nonfiction book that you can read in one sitting. Like I said, this one was like 27 pages. I think the other one was like 30. So you can literally read it in like 30 minutes to an hour.
I like that, because sometimes that's all you want. You just want like a brief snippet of something. And I think there's nothing wrong in someone saying, like, I can't commit to a novel. Or even, I'm going to be honest, the last few authors that I follow that have put out novellas, those are not novellas. Those are like a full-on book.
Yeah.
And I know there's rules to novellas, so technically they qualify, so don't come at me. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes you don't want that, or sometimes you don't have the mental capacity or the time for that. Or, hey, maybe you're just trying to finish your, like, reading goal, and technically it's a book, it's a story. So I think that's fantastic that that's offered, and it kind of incentivizes people that are maybe on the fence with like Prime, or they were going to cancel their Prime. Because to me, adding one more free benefit to your Prime kind of keeps you on board with it, keeps you using it. So
yeah, I think that's one thing Amazon gets right, is that even though the Prime membership has gone up, I think pretty much every year since they started it, they keep adding more to it, so you feel like you're still getting your money's worth.
Right. That is, like I said, I really thought it was something else, and I was like, what do you mean first reads? And you're like, no. So my book talk news unfortunately isn't as happy or as funny. Well, I find it kind of funny, to be honest with you, but it's not like,
yeah, but you have a dark sense of humor.
And you don't.
I wasn't talking about me.
Of course, me. What? Anyway, I think it's kind of funny. The books that kind of like go with this topic would be considered Bianca no books. But it's in regards to a book talker and the Seattle Kraken, which this happened a couple of weeks ago now. So if you're on Book Talk, you're like, I'm tired of this. I also think, depending on what side of Book Talk you're on, you may have not even have heard of this.
I've never heard of it till you sent it to me the other day. I was like, what?
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I am on that side of Book Talk, though, like romance Book Talk as well. So there's a book talker who I follow, and I think she's adorable. Her name is Kira Lewis. And she started reading like NHL romances, which if you know, you know. I've read a couple of them. They're not like my favorite when you start doing subgenre of things like that.
But the only one of those I know is Icebreaker.
And it's a cute, yeah. So they have more like cutesy, like tame ones, obviously. Because did you read Icebreaker?
No, I just know about it.
Okay. And then there's some that like they go into like a whole new territory. But she's a book talker, and check her out. I think she's adorable. I think we should all like follow her and support her. But that's just me. And she started reading like NHL romance, and she's like, heck yeah. So she actually got into like it turned her into an NHL fan. And if I'm incorrect on that and I like got my sequence of events wrong, I'm sorry. But everything I followed has made it seem like she read the books. It got her into NHL hockey. And she did some various TikToks, things like that. And Seattle Kraken at one point ended up like flying her out to a game, got her a custom jersey that said like Book Talk on the back. And she was even making kind of like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like we've all seen the Thirst Trap Book Talk stuff, like where maybe they'll say, this is what I think this character should look like. I mean, hell, I've seen it done for Harry Potter. Like, so she did some kind of things like that with a few of the Seattle Kraken players. And it seems like the NHL and Seattle Kraken team themselves were kind of into it, like, ha, 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 like going with it as well. And then one of the players, particularly Alex Winberg, his wife came out on not on TikTok, I think it was on Instagram, came out on her Instagram stories and like basically said that this was like bordering on sexual harassment and that these men didn't like appreciate it, that, you know, they're family men and, you know, they're being sexualized and objectified. Like, I guess he even said, like, I don't appreciate being, looked at like this. Like, I'm here to play a game. I'm here to do my job. And in some sense, I get it. I think every woman in the world is like, I understand what he's saying. But what I found odd about it is suddenly, like after the Kraken had been supporting this whole time, like basically promoting it. Like I said, they brought her out to a game. They gave her a custom jersey, gave her the amazing seats. Like they kind of were working with her and they were doing this back and forth kind of thing. And I just feel if Alex Winberg had a problem with it, which I'm not saying he didn't, it should have been addressed before. And we talk about this. I think from the beginning of our podcast, one of the things that always comes up when it comes to some of these book talk controversies that you and I discuss is communication, right? Like, I don't know how many times you and I can drill that into people, but it seems like there was a miscommunication somewhere, and I can understand him being uncomfortable with that. I can understand his wife being uncomfortable with that, but the Kraken were like going with it. But now what's really weird is the Kraken have come in and deleted off their TikTok any of those videos that they had made in conjunction with her, and like doubled down and been like, no, we're not doing this anymore.
Well, see, and that should have come from, like, that should have been like a personal conversation between the book talker and the team, instead of it being from a player's wife.
Right, like
it should have gone through the chain of command.
Well, what I think is that player and maybe even his wife should have gone to someone in the team, probably their social media manager, their I can't think of the actual word, the publicist, gone to, because most sports professionals have a team, have a media team, people around them, so they should have gone to them, who should have gone to the Kraken's publicist and media team and been like, we understand what you're doing, but we asked to be left out of this. We are extremely uncomfortable. And if that was done, it was never said. So I find that kind of weird. There are a lot of people saying that they felt like, because I believe Kiara Lewis came and apologized. And especially, apparently she even privately messaged Winberg's wife and apologized, and she won't respond to her. And then some people think her apology is disingenuous. And I think, one, I understand people not wanting to be objectified, or if there really are sexual harassment coming out of this from other people, not from her, but if it's led other women to think that they can just message and sexually harass these players, well, that's a whole different argument. And she didn't make anyone do that. The Kraken didn't make anyone do that. That's just called bad behavior, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just find this whole thing kind of funny, because it was like they were working in conjunction with each other. They were actually bringing, it seems like, some new interest into hockey. You and I are hockey fans, so I think it's cool that you tie in somehow to bring new people to hockey. I mean, but the whole fact that the Kraken team came back and just deleted everything, I don't know. And maybe you're on the other side, so tell me if you agree or disagree with me, listeners out there. If you know about this controversy and you disagree with me, that's completely okay. We're all allowed to have our own opinions, but I just think it's strange that, I don't know, that they came back and they were like, no, here you go. Cause and I think I don't know if she's removed any of her, I haven't gone back and looked. I don't know if since then she has removed any of her videos, but once a video is up on TikTok, you could make a video right now and it pops up. I save it. It's done. So I also don't understand these people deleting them. They're already out there.
Well, and not only that, but I don't know if people know this, but there's a setting in TikTok where you can allow downloads, and it's kind of missable, so someone can actually download it and keep it forever.
It is extremely missable, because I try to do where you can't download it if it's a video of mine that Caden is in. I know he's a teenager, I know he's almost an adult, but to me that's I don't want the idea of someone else just saving this video of my child. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even mean for that reason. Unfortunately, I've had family members that we don't really have communication with, take photos of Caden and be like, oh, look at my beautiful nephew that I'm not allowed to talk to. And it's excuse you, what? So I just don't like that. But I don't know. There's a lot of articles on this. My favorite headline comes from the New York Times. It's the messy relationship between romance novels and ice hockey. Because apparently I didn't know how well hockey romance was as far as a subgenre. I mean, it's apparently a pretty big one. Also, mafia ones. What is wrong with some of you guys?
Oh, I knew about the mafia one.
I
If you
knew
go
they
in,
were. No, I knew they were, but there's a lot of them.
there's a whole section in Barnes and Noble for them.
I mean, I listen to and read the no stuff, but I just want to know, are y'all okay? I'm just saying. But this was
answer
a
is
really
no, Miranda.
I know. I'm not okay, so it's all right. But it was just a really messy, awkward, and uncomfortable thing that, like, I find funny because, yes, as Bianca said, I have a dark sense of humor, and I find it really funny. But they said a lot of it comes from some of the comments that were made, and exploiting. And I
lost you. What'd you say?
I don't. Oh, the wife said that some of the comments were predatory and exploiting. So I guess I don't disagree with her, but I find the whole double down of now we're going to just not even support Kiera really distasteful on the Kraken's part. And it's just like a whole messy thing that I just still find funny. I'd love to know what you guys think, though, because I swear every month Bianca and I carry some sort of, or cover some sort of book talk controversy. I'm thinking to myself, surely it can't get more dramatic than this. And then it does. It does.
Don't underestimate the free will of people on TikTok.
Or book talk especially. But
yeah.
I mean, again, are y'all guys okay? I'm just saying.
Well, speaking of being okay, do you remember when you were in school and we all had required reading?
It was actually my favorite. How did you feel about required reading?
I hate required reading.
You hated it?
Yeah.
Did you love English class, though?
Yeah. I mean, I was an English major, so obviously
yeah, but
I did. But
I mean, I've met a lot of English majors so they could have a job like you do that hated the actual English class.
Oh, no, I didn't mind it. It's just most of the time the required reading that, at least that I got assigned, I didn't like. Mainly because all throughout high school, I had nothing but Shakespeare. So that was just, okay. I do not like Shakespeare. I am an anti-Shakespeare girly. I'm sorry.
I love certain things from Shakespeare. I don't love them all. Some of them I was like, what?
The only time that I really got into required reading was when I got into my actual core English classes in university. Beyond just the general British literature from 1600 to 1852. Like, those classes are stupid.
They are stupid. What I love
when you get to the actual themed classes and you start getting into analyzing the literature, I was okay with those assigned readings.
And some of those are really, really interesting and really fun because I know a lot of colleges, they will do like a whole breakthrough deep dive. They'll do like the whole Harry Potter series, or they will do, I know a girl that she was like, yeah, I'm in college, but we're doing all the Percy Jacksons and in how they correlate to actual mythology. And I was like, that's so cool. Like,
yeah, I had a fantasy lit class. I had a Lord of the Rings class. I had a, they called it Bildungsroman, which is basically a fancy word for coming of age stories.
Was it you that also had like a vampire one?
Yes.
Someone has told me they've had it. Okay. Yeah, it was you and someone else
lit.
told me they had like a whole vampire lit and it covered like all aspects of.
Yeah.
Fantastic to me.
So yeah, all of those various ones, I was like, heck yeah, buddy.
Yeah. Most people I come across do not care for required reading. And when I was doing some research on what is now considered required reading in both high school and middle school, because I actually have very strong ties to several of the books that were required reading for myself in middle school as well. Love them. But it was strange. The list, there is the common list, and you can look it up. Like there's Listopia, Goodreads, there's a bunch, and they're pretty much the top 100 is going to be all the same. But then I've also noticed since you and I have left school, they have added some that were not considered required reads when we were in school. So that's interesting. But with required reads, so you didn't enjoy them, but do you have one that when you were required to read it was like, hands down, no questions asked, your favorite?
I'm going to draw from my university experience because, like I said, throughout school, it was mostly Shakespeare stuff. But my favorite one from university is The Shining by Stephen King.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Did you guys do a full Shining class?
No, it was part of our fiction and film class.
Oh, okay.
So we would read the book, analyze it, and then watch the film and then analyze it.
Why didn't we have that in high school? That would have been fun. I actually love that. My required reading, I think, is actually from my 7th or 8th grade year of middle school. I don't know what year they required people to read this. I've also noticed that depending on the state you grew up in, like you read it at a different time than other people. But it is also one of my all-time favorite books in general. It is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. And we did kind of a similar thing that you did in college because there was the movie made. So we did read and do like the book report or whatever you want to call it on it. It's middle school, so I'm pretty sure they were just referred to it as a book report. We did worksheets and tests throughout the way, and then we watched the movie. And same thing, we wrote like a synopsis of the movie in our own words, what we thought it meant, and then we had a test on the movie as well. But it is, to this day, one of my all-time favorite books ever.
And I have not read it.
What? Is that also, I'm betting you've also not seen the movie.
Nope, never seen it.
Oh my God.
Please don't bust a capillary.
Get read. One of my all-time favorite quotes in the world is also from this book. Oh my God.
Well, we also polled our audience on both Instagram and TikTok for their favorite required reads. Yeah. Two of the responses I got on Instagram was The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson.
I have never read that.
I haven't either. And then Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen.
Duh.
Yeah. That if I had to pick another one, that was going to be my other one. My other pick, but since that person said Pride and Prejudice, I was like, yeah, I'll stick with that one.
My other pick would actually be The Hero and the Crown by Robin McKinley. It's fantastic. I listen, I want to give some praise to our BookTok TikTok community because y'all made my heart happy because in full transparency, this girl forgot to post the video that she wanted to make on said TikTok until like today. And already y'all coming at us with like almost 1,000 views and multiple answers. So thank you. Like that is fantastic. We got some good answers over here too, right?
Crowd noise.
Where's Caden with sound effects when I need him? So welcome. I hope you guys are new followers. Maybe, or you can become new followers, but Kindle says The Giver.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's such a good book. It's Owen Bitch says Great Gatsby and Of Mice and Men. And then read Catcher in the Rye outside of school, but that it is considered required reading and absolutely loved it. We got another Great Gatsby mixed with Animal Farm.
I never read Animal Farm. I read 1984, but I didn't read Animal Farm.
Animal Farm is interesting. I did read that one. We have beginner fantasy readers saying that beginner fantasy readers. I don't know what all you constitute. I think that would be left up for discussion. And she said also would recommend Fourth Wing for sure. I did enjoy Fourth Wing. It's not on the required reading list, but I did like it a lot. And finally, Allie said required to read Frankenstein in high school, fell in love with it, and I now reread it every few years. Well, you know what? You came to the right place, Allie, because for today's assignment, I reread Frankenstein by Mary Shelley.
Yeah, get a little bit of that horror in there.
Listen, I struggled because I know when we talked about doing this, one, it's back to school. Most people in August are going back to school, September time, depending on where you live. And I don't remember who came up with the idea of required reads, but it was an excellent one. Yay us, because I don't know which one of us did it.
We're a team here. It's okay.
It is. I was going to say it was a joint effort. That's what I think. And you actually immediately went, I know what I want to read. And I said, okay. Because there's one, I believe what you read, you had never read before, correct?
Nope. Never, ever read it.
Okay. So I was really struggling. I was going through this list, and I was the nerd kid that loved required reading, so I couldn't find one that I hadn't read or that I knew for sure I did not want to read. Like, I think it's okay to say that you don't want to read something. So,
yeah.
I reread Frankenstein. I feel like we all know what Frankenstein is about, but I guess for those of you that don't know, if there's like one major conflict, and that's the inability to understand actions, and actions have repercussions. That is on the creator of the monster and the monster as well. You actually, if you read this book, have a huge compassion and like love for the monster, which is not what you usually get with horror.
Well, because I think Frankenstein also touches on the subject of trying to understand an outsider's perspective, kind of, sort of, and being
understanding
accepting.
It's different.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because at one point he does come across several villagers, and they treat him like with disgust and horror, and just the way that they start treating him. But what I loved about this, and I've reread this multiple times throughout the years. What I love is how you come to learn the story, like how Victor gets told the story of what the monster has gone through. It's not exactly the way it's always depicted in most modern TV movies when they bring up Frankenstein, which I find absolutely fascinating. But there's a huge mixture of curiosity and compassion, and also seeing people treat how the world treats people, like you and I just said, that are just different. I don't know.
Well, it's because I think people, for the most part, not to get all analytical, but people, for the most part, like as a whole, we gravitate towards what we know. Mm-hmm. And if something is unknown or out of the ordinary or just a little bit off, our, like, collectively, people's like tingly sixth sense goes off and is like, mm-hmm. something's not right here. I need to avoid this potential danger.
Right.
And I think Frankenstein shows that the monster's not always dangerous. It's what you have within you. Exactly.
I do love that Victor comes to acknowledge the role he played in creating the chaos that ultimately comes from this, and what results in the death of several innocent people, as well as the torment that actually comes to his creation, the monster. It's a really sad ending as well. And I think the first reread I did of this was, I don't know, I'd say like 15 years ago was my first time like rereading it since high school. And I had forgotten just how sad it ends. And I remember listening, there's like a kid's version of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein on audio form. And I remember listening to it with Caden when he was about 8 or 9, and the sobbing that came from this child when the monster was being treated horribly. And then in the end, ultimately, when he explains that he's going to kill himself because he doesn't want to hurt another person, and he doesn't want to be hurt by another person anymore.
Well, not only that, but he was also like rejected from Victor. Like, Victor refused to even like give him a name or anything.
Yeah, he's actually just called the monster for most of the most of the time, or Frankenstein's monster, which is funny because I always argue with people. Don't get me wrong. I love that in modern day we call the depiction of him Frankenstein, but technically Frankenstein was Victor, the creator of him. And it is very sad. What is funny is the setting of this also takes place in like the Swiss Alps. And so it would have been a rough life too, based on like the geography that they're explaining and the time period that it's in. So you're having to add that in. The viewpoints do shift with narration in the book. Some people don't like that. I think that it's really neat because some of it is in the forms of letters from different people in his life. But there is a lot of foreshadowing. I think it's obvious. The words fate get thrown around a lot. Omen gets thrown around a lot. I had forgotten that as well. But it just kind of, what irritates me though is Victor acts like sometimes like, oh my God, this happened to him. Like he's a little selfish.
Yeah, a little bit.
He's just a little selfish. I still give it 10 out of 10. I love it all the time. There are, for people who've never worn it or never read it, I would definitely say trigger warnings. I would also say if you're someone like me and you're like, oh, there's a kid's audio version and I'm going to listen to this with my kid because it's spooky month. Know your child, because mine sobbed horrifically for hours.
Poor Caden.
I know, I felt so bad. But what I won't say that I loved that he cried. I did not love that he cried. What I loved that Caden took out of this book is he actually said, we had a whole conversation of like, why do people treat someone different? Why is it because you're different you get treated that way? And it turned into a discussion about himself and his diagnosis. So it sparked a really beautiful like moment between he and I with a fantastic conversation on just, unfortunately, the horrible in the world that you can't change. But yeah, he cried pretty hardcore for quite some time. So be mindful of that. You're like, it's a classic. It's in kids form. I'm just saying. So.
Well, I like your little summation of Frankenstein. That's good.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's not a long book, number one. Number two, if you've not read it, you pretty much know the general gist of he was created and he did some bad things. Maybe you didn't know about the bad things being done to him. So there's not really a whole much that I can say. But yeah, I enjoyed the reread. And it actually, for some reason, also made me want to reread The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. So adding that to the list.
Well, I decided to read Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury.
Fantastic.
I've never read it. This was my first time reading it. It was very short. I thought it was going to be longer.
That is a common theme. If you've ever noticed, like Animal Farm is very thin. Even technically like Diary of Anne Frank and Lord of the Flies, they're not. I mean, maybe they have 300 pages. I don't think they do, though. But, like...
This one was only, like, 150.
Yeah, some of them are very small. But some of them are daunting because there's a lot of stuff that happens. And it's old... I don't want to say... It's not Old English, but it's, like, written differently. I don't know the word I'm trying to use. You know what I'm trying to say.
Well, Fahrenheit 451 is written in regular old plain English because it was only published in the 50s.
Yeah. It's just
53.
the wording of things because things were much different then, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah, things were just different.
Yeah. This was published in October of 1953. I'm just going to give a quick background on it for anyone who may not actually know the background of the book. The edition that I picked up actually has a foreword from Neil Gaiman in it, just kind of like introducing everything. I'll just read a couple of his sentences, and then I'll go to Wikipedia to tell you what Wikipedia says. So Neil Gaiman says, sometimes writers write about a world that does not yet exist. We do it for 100 reasons. The reasons for writing about the day after tomorrow and all the tomorrows that follow it are as many and as varied as the people writing. This is a book of warning. It is a reminder that what we have is valuable and that sometimes we take what we value for granted. And I think that's a good summation of this book.
I would agree.
Yeah. Wikipedia says, Fahrenheit 451 is a dystopian novel. It presents an American society where books have been personified and outlawed, and firemen burn any that are found. The novel follows our main character, Guy Montag, a fireman who becomes disillusioned with his role of censoring literature and destroying knowledge, eventually quitting his job and committing himself to the preservation of literary and cultural writings. This book was written during the Second Red Scare and the McCarthy era, and he was inspired by the book burnings in Nazi Germany and the ideological repression in the Soviet Union.
It was horrific.
Yes. In a radio interview, Bradbury said that he wrote the book because of his concerns about the threat of burning books in the United States. In later years, he described the book as a commentary on how mass media reduces interest in reading literature. And I just want to be like, sir, did you predict the year 2023? Like, This is going on now. In a 1994 interview, Bradbury cited political correctness as an allegory for the censorship in the book, calling it, quote, the real enemy these days, and labeling it as thought control and freedom of speech control.
Which was a thing at that time. I mean,
was a thing then, and it's still a thing now.
Yeah, it's like we got a little bit, a smidge, just a smidge.
So I had never read Fahrenheit 451. I wanted to see what all the hullabaloo was about. It's called Fahrenheit 451 because that is the temperature required to actually burn a book, for those that do not know that. Like I said, it follows a guy named Guy Montag.
That's been like us all week. You'll know what I'm talking about, but we keep going. Yeah, we'll need to check with check. And then we're like, ah!
But he is a fireman, and in this particular dystopian future, a fireman does not put out fires, they start fires. If they get word that people have... Which I was kind of confused on this, because even in his own house and in his chief's house, they have books. So it's not like books are like outright banned, but I guess if you're like a book collector, or I don't know, it's just if you have a lot of books,
controlling who and how many and what, basically.
Yeah. And there's no really like hard or fast rules about it.
No.
But if they get word that this person has a lot of books, they're like, cool, we're going to start a fire. And most of the time, the people that have the books would opt to die in the fire with their books, which I thought was really, really sad.
Yes.
It's like, no, you can live. You can just go find other books. Montag has a wife. Her name is Mildred. It's very Hunger Games part here, because if Mildred eats too much, she just has her stomach pumped and she doesn't remember it the next morning, and she just wakes up super hungry. So we're living in a society that is just gorging themselves on everything except words, basically, the written word. They also have these weird mechanical hounds, is what they called them.
I'd forgotten about those.
They were described super creepy. It literally gave me the ick. I was like, ugh. But it was just these mechanical, like, machines that kind of resembled dogs that would, injure, kill, basically be programmed to do whatever they wanted to. As we go throughout the book, Montag encounters this girl that lives in his neighborhood. She kind of opens his eyes to, like, there's more to life than just burning books. And the book is only 3 chapters, by the way. I thought that was super weird. You have 150 pages and it's broken up into 3 chapters.
Yeah.
So you can't just start a chapter and then put it down real quick. You gotta be committed. We do get some history that has been changed in this futuristic world. And it's kind of like a list for firemen to follow. It was established in 1790, and it was to burn English-influenced books in the colonies. From the first fireman, who was Benjamin Franklin, which that is true. He did come up with the concept of firefighters, just not in this sense. Rule number 1, answer the fire alarm quickly. 2, start the fire swiftly. 3, burn everything. 4, report back to firehouse immediately. And 5, stand alert for other alarms. And then they go into detail of how they do deal with an alarm. They go through this whole scene of going to someone's house and burning it. And Montag kind of has like an awakening at this point and is like, I kind of don't want to do this anymore. His fire chief comes to his house and tries to talk him out of it and be like, no, we need you. You're a good fireman. And it just kind of all breaks down. And he eventually, I'm leaving a lot of stuff out, but he eventually gets out of the city. There's a huge police chase and he follows the river and he eventually meets some other outcasts in the woods. And they're like, you're not alone. We also want to save the books. We're on a mission. And it turns out that everybody that they save, they have something memorized. Like one of the dudes has the whole book of Ecclesiastes from the Bible memorized.
Oh my gosh.
So everyone has something to contribute to a society that they want to build. And they are on a mission to rescue the books.
I love that, though.
In the very last part, they can see in the distance that the city he just escaped from is being bombed and flattened. Montag has a few flashbacks from what he just went through. And then he and all the men decide they're going to go back to the city to help the people. One thing that I did not understand, and I don't know if you remember this part of the book, but the way it's described is that their living room has walls, but I couldn't tell if he meant that the walls were like kind of like FaceTime is what we have now, where like a video, like you can talk to people via the television. I don't know if that's what he was trying to convey to the readers, because they obviously didn't have that back then, so he didn't know how to describe it. But he would say that his wife, Mildred, would go in the living room and talk to, like, all of these people all at the same time. So I didn't know if the walls were, like, see-through and she was talking to her neighbors, or if she was actually having, like, video conferences. Do you remember anything about that?
I vaguely remember him talking about how she would go in the living room and talk to people. And I read it so long ago that, like, I won't lie, we didn't have FaceTime. So I probably was like, what? I mean, we had computers. I'm not that old. I mean, so I don't know what I thought it was. Maybe I thought it was like a TV monitor type thing, or like, I don't know. But I now would assume it's like FaceTime, which is funny because a lot of books from like way back then, like, accurately predicted weird stuff. Or is it that someone read this book and said, I can make that?
Well, see, I just couldn't tell because the way he described the walls was like they were kind of like see-through and you could like see people, but that could still be like a television, like just a giant screen.
Yeah, because if you look into some like I mean, now we have screens that are clear. We have projectors. I'm going to take it as she's talking to people via like FaceTime, Marco, something like what we use. That's what I'm going with.
Which I wanted to watch. There's a couple of Fahrenheit 451 movies, but none of them are streaming anywhere.
You might be able to find them on YouTube.
I checked, unless it's like recent. But I wanted to watch to see how the movies interpreted some of this, and like I said, none of them were. Let me type in movie. Because there's one that came out not too long ago.
Oh, really?
Oh, there's one on Max. That's the one with Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, so it is fairly newer.
Yeah, it came out in 2018, 2019. Somewhere around in there.
I'd completely forgotten that they had made that.
And then there's a really old one that came out in the 60s.
Yeah. Which that would be the one that I would more be apt to wanting to see, because that would, and this may sound weird to you, but for me, like you're asking me, like, what was their interpretation? I think current day, making one in 2018, it's absolutely a FaceTime wall. But I would like to see what the 60s one said it was.
Yeah. Yeah. So for my final analysis or like review of this book, I liked the concept of the book. I think Ray Bradbury was like ahead of his time in describing all of the technology that was in here.
I would agree.
It didn't go over well with me. I kept finding myself lost. Things tend to like just smush together. And I think part of that is a result of only having 3 chapters. Like there's no delineation in, okay, this is what we're doing now, and then this is what he did then, and then here's how the story progressed. Like it's all just kind of a big mush. I think I gave it like 2 or 3 stars. Let me look. What did I give it? Where are my books?
I always give Frankenstein 5 stars, and I don't know, I wasn't giving things really star rating when I read Fahrenheit 451. I literally was like 17 years old and was like, I don't love this book.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I would have given it then, because we've talked about how when you read books at different times of your life, you felt different. I did feel a hardcore, like, gut wrench tie to the people that were like, no, I'll die with my books.
Yeah. Okay, I did give it 3 stars.
Okay.
And I'll mention this real quick. Before I read Fahrenheit 451, I also read another required read. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it because it's not what I wanted to focus on, but I did read We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson.
I love that book.
It was good. I think I liked it better than 451, just because it's another, quote, horror book. And I say quote because I think it's a true horror and not like what some people might interpret horror as today, where it's like screaming and screeching and bloody and all that good stuff.
I think most people do consider it a horror book, as far as I'm thinking of like the horror groups that I'm in, and I do think most people consider it a horror book.
Okay. Yeah, this one just kind of gives you an uneasy feeling, like you don't really know what's happening. There's definitely what's the thing where you're scared to leave your house?
Oh, it's not, hang on.
Agoraphobia?
I was going to say agoraphobia, but I'm not sure. I'll Google it while you keep going.
But yeah, it deals with agoraphobia a lot. One of the sisters,
it is
okay.
agoraphobia.
Whoop, whoop.
Go us.
Knowing words.
We remember things and stuff.
But yeah, it just kind of leaves you with that uneasy feeling of you don't really know what's going to happen, and you question kind of everyone that comes into the story. You're like, what are your motives? What are you doing here?
Like, what do you think you're going to do? Like, yeah, it's very, I love that it's psychological. It makes you think.
Yes.
It makes you not trust anyone.
Yeah,
honestly, in my opinion.
And you don't even want to trust the actual narrator of the story.
No.
Because she's not, like, you can tell she's not reliable.
But I think that's what's fantastic is when you're reading a story that has a, like, set narrator, and you don't know if they can be trusted. for whatever reason, to me, it's even when you're questioning the narrator, I find that interesting. So.
Yeah, so that was our required reads. If anyone has your favorite or least favorite required reads, please let us know. As you can tell, I have not read a lot of them, so I will take any and all suggestions.
Do you think you haven't read a lot of them just because the school system that you were in didn't require them? Or do you think it kind of goes into, like, the reasoning why you also haven't watched, like, a lot? And, like, you don't have to, like, fully answer this. But do you think it's maybe also the reason why you didn't watch, like, a lot of the movies that you and I talk about that you're like, I haven't seen it?
Well, I think mainly it's just because I was never required to. Most of the required reading books are not ones that I naturally gravitate towards.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not forcing me to read it, I'm not going to pick it up. Like, there was one you mentioned, Catcher in the Rye. I've never read that one either. And that does not sound like something I would enjoy at all. So I'm like, why would I ever pick that up if I'm not being forced to?
If I remember correctly, it was one that it was a little bit of work for me. I remember not loving it.
And there was I don't know if you've mentioned it. What's the one with all of the boys on the island?
I read that one with Caden, Lord of the Flies.
I've never read that one either.
Caden, when I realized, I think you and I talked about this, the first year I homeschooled Caden, because I purchased curriculum. I don't create my own. Toot out to woo-woo to the people that do. Like, you guys are saints. It ain't for me. But it was in the curriculum, and I remember looking at my husband and being like, I gotta buy Lord of the Flies. And he goes, again, referring to our child bawling at Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, he was like, oh, wait till he gets to the part with Piggy. And I was like, I know.
But see, like, I know the general gist of that story just from being alive, basically. And I'm just like, I have no desire to ever read that. So.
Okay, well, since you said you're not a Shakespeare person, before we move on to other topics that we always bring to people, you're not a Shakespeare person. But how did you feel about Romeo and Juliet? Because most people say, I don't like Shakespeare, but I liked Romeo and Juliet.
I didn't like it.
Oh my God. I will go.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I will tell myself. I got so into it that we had to do a project for, like, it was like part of the project was for extra credit that I went home and I tea-stained paper, crinkled it, tea-stained it, set it out to dry, and created Juliet's diary for a grade.
That's a very Miranda thing to do. This is coming from someone who was cast as Juliet in the Romeo and Juliet play. If you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time, you know that communication is it's a thing with Miranda and I. And we
just talked about this.
The whole story could have been avoided with communication. No one had to die.
No, they did not. No one had to die. And listen, but people that are like, I didn't like Romeo and Juliet. You can't tell me that the masterpiece from, 1990, let me get this right.
Are you talking about the Leonardo DiCaprio version?
Yes, it is. No. If you are my age, you probably, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's not because of him. It's just fantastic. He's not even he's not even the best. It's just a fantastic movie. Anyway, so that's required reading. I think there's some fantastic lists out there that if you want to do required reading, like if you want to do more of it, if you want to look into what's considered required reading. Also, if you have teacher friends, I would highly recommend asking, because a lot of teachers now are allowed to kind of like play with their curriculum and do different things. And I know when Caden was in like 6th grade, they did Percy Jackson. They did, I noticed on one of the lists, Maze Runner is on there now. Kite Runner is on there. So they're changing it up. They're keeping the old things. Book Thief is on there. Handmaid's Tale. So they're updating it, and I think that's fantastic. Ender's Game, yeah. So check it out. Ask your teacher friends what they're doing for required reading. And if you have one from school that maybe is very obscure, I'd love to hear what that one is, for sure. But question.
Well, we're gonna hop into another segment called Adaptation Minute.
Yes.
It's gonna be truly a minute because I only have one thing to cover.
I haven't had any adaptations to cover lately.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks.
Season 2 of The Summer I Turned Pretty came out on Prime. They've been releasing 1 or 2 episodes a week. I'm almost done with it. I have the very last episode to watch, which I plan on doing tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's still so good. So good. I've read the books, and it's a really good adaptation in that the books are older. They were published, when were they published? The Summer I Turned Pretty book. When were you published?
I don't remember.
2009.
Okay.
And when you read the books, I would call it like a summer cozy read. Like there's not a lot of cursing. There's not a lot of explicit scenes. Like, it's just kind of a wholesome story. The series is not like that. Just so everyone knows, which I get why they did it. They wanted to gravitate towards like a general teen audience and not have it be like dorky or off-putting or things like that. Because most teenagers aren't like that. They're not like sheltered and naive.
No.
So I understand the changes that have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And they also updated it to be more modern. Like, the technology that's referenced in the book is older, obviously from 2009. But the series is really, really good. It's on Amazon Prime. I recommend it. Let me know, readers or listeners, if you are Team Conrad or Team Jeremiah. I know it's not possible because Stephen is Belly's brother, but I am personally Team Stephen. I love that boy with all of my heart.
And I don't remember. That sounds really bad. I don't remember.
Well, whenever you have time, I recommend The Summer I Turned Pretty on Amazon Prime. Excuse me. Sorry, I lost my breath.
I was like, oh, where'd she go? Oh, God, she passed out. I'm going to have to call Brad and be like, go get your wife. She's on the floor.
I lost my breath. I got so excited. What was I talking about?
You were recommending The Summer I Turned Pretty on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, but I had a train of thought, and I just completely lost it. The cough took it.
And away.
Anyways, go read the books and or watch the series. I love Jenny Han. I follow her on Instagram. She is hilarious. She's also
should log into our account and follow her on the TikTok if she's over there too.
I think I did.
Okay.
I don't know. But Miranda, you have a discussion that you wanted to cover real quick.
I did. And okay, full transparency here because I am dying laughing. One, I brought this up last month. Forgot I asked you if we could cover this. Number one. Number two, we have a shared note. Most podcasters that pod together usually do. We have a shared note, and I either typed too fast and typed it wrong, or autocorrect got me. And so Bianca logged on and was like, I'm going to check our notes. Do. And I get, Miranda, what is gene hopping?
She typed in gene hopping, Gene.
I was trying to say genre hopping, but that led us down a path because that's who we are. So Bianca was like, well, what is gene hopping? So we would like to tell everyone on a side note that you're here because you love us. So you also want to know what gene hopping is. And it is known as jumping genes, and it's DNA sequences that move from one location on the genome to another. So it is a thing, but it's not the thing I wanted to talk to.
And that's your fun fact for the day.
Blah, blah, the more you know. Oh my God, I'm so old. Anyway, so I actually want to talk to you guys about genre hopping because I found something, I think it again was booktok or Instagram, somewhere was talking about this. It may have even been in my local book group. I don't remember where now initially I was like, I want to talk about this. But I was curious to know about genre hopping. Are you a person that tends to stick to one genre, two genres, or maybe sometimes you are stuck on one specifically and then you'll go back to another one? Because I did this recently, for example, with horror books. Because I've been talking to you and Susan in our friend chat we have. And horror is a genre that I really like, but I haven't really touched until last year with that book that ended up being my favorite book of the year. I can't think of the name of it right now. It's actually one of the first. We've been podcasting for right at a year now, I think, or a couple of months past the 1 year marker. Happy birthday to us. Woo woo. So it was fairly early in us starting this, but it ended up becoming my favorite book of the year. And that was the first horror that I had touched in some time. And now I have gotten into, I joined a couple of horror reading groups, and I'm really getting back into it. And that kind of made me think more about the person that was discussing genre hopping. So, did you know what that was when I said genre hopping? Is it something that you do, or do you have very specific, no, I mean, I know what your likes are, but I mean, for the people, when you read, do you sometimes get stuck in a genre where you're nope, I'm just going to read YA right now. I'm just going to read horror. That's basically what I just wanted to open the floor on that topic, because I find it fascinating how people decide to go from book to book or genre to genre, or maybe they don't even touch. Maybe there's genres that they're I don't even touch them. Don't talk to me about them.
So I'm a very heavy mood reader, so I have to be in the mood to read something in order to enjoy it. Obviously, kind of like required reading, I can read, you can force me to read something that doesn't mean I'm going to like it. And it might just be because I'm not in the mood for it. I have one book I've had, I think 2 years now. Every time I pick it up, I'm I know I'm going to like this. I'm just not in the mood for it right now. And it's a cute little teen meet cute book.
Right. Which, you're probably going to enjoy it or at least like it, but you're not sure.
Yeah. And I know it's because I'm not in the mood for it right now. Recently I've been on a heavy fantasy reading, and before that I was in a heavy mystery thriller reading.
Yeah.
I read The Heiress and Rock, Paper, Scissors and Sometimes I Lie, all in the span of a week and a half, and that's just all thrillers. I was okay, now I need a change of pace.
Yeah. So I guess hopping for you happens, but not really all the time, I guess is what I'm saying, because you are a mood reader.
Yeah. And there was a couple of years ago where I was on a huge nonfiction kick, which for those that know me, I'm not really big into nonfiction. I read to escape. But I went through, I read 2 Ted Bundy books. I read a book about 9/11. I read a book about, what was the other one? I don't remember the other one right now. Oh, it was I read 1 or 2 biographies back to back. So I'm a mood reader. So I technically do genre hopping just when I'm in the mood for it.
I also genre hop because I would say that I'm a mood reader, with the caveat that sometimes I'm not a mood reader because, okay, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. So I am a mood reader like you, because sometimes I'll just get in a mood. I'll be no, this is what I want. But other times, like what happened to me with the horror books recently with the, my brain has just gone dead on his name. Please help me.
Can you give me a hint?
Grady Hendrix. Sorry. It's all the books that you and I have been discussing. Like, I got on a kick because I really, really enjoyed Grady Hendrix' writing and writing style. So then I was like, give me more. And so, like, I've read a lot of horror or a lot of mystery. So I'm a mood reader, but then I have fixation reads, if that makes sense, which probably has something to do with my ADHD, but who's to say? Like, I fixate on things. So I'm a mood reader that can hyperfixate and then get stuck. The problem with the hyperfixating that I do when I mood read and genre hop is the burnout.
Yeah.
That will inevitably come if I continue down the Grady Hendrix hole, which I was going to do. I was going for another one and then thought, better.
How many have you read now? Which ones have you read?
I read My Best Friend's Exorcism.
Okay.
Which Susan and I needed you to finish because we need to talk.
That's the one I haven't read.
Yeah, I did that one. The next one I was going to do was the Final Girl Support Group, but I didn't start. That's the one that I was like, better not. And I read How to Sell a Haunted House.
Yeah.
And you did warn me about that one. You did.
I tried to.
You did, but that one, so I don't know what has been going on with me this year, but I think I told you guys that the Delamock witch books, I cried somewhere in there. Bianca knows me, and I think I've said this before, but if you're new here, hi, I'm Miranda, and I cry at everything except books. Books don't make me cry. I don't know why. I cry at Subaru commercials. I cry at ESPN 30 for 30s. I cry at Marvel movies. And Bianca does not. So we love this. Miranda once cried at a Colleen Hoover signing. It's a thing. But I don't cry at books. And I don't know what is going on with me this year. I don't know if I'm in a healing spot or what it is, but How to Sell a Haunted House, I think I texted you and said, I'm crying. And it wasn't even because of the horror that was in it, but there were some parts that really hit me. Because in full transparency, it doesn't give anything away, but it deals with death and grieving death and dealing with childhood trauma and grieving that healing of that trauma. And I cried at like two times. And then I also just finished Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I always get it wrong. I wanted to say Tomorrow, Tomorrow and Tomorrow, but I think it's got an and in between all of those. I cried there too, twice. I don't know what is up with me, but I am crying at books now.
It's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
Okay, that's what, yeah. I couldn't remember how many ands. But as far as Grady Hendrix books, I've only read 2, and I was going to move on to Final Girl Support Group, and that's when I was like, whoa, you're going to hit burnout wall where you're not going to touch any of his works for like years if you don't stop. I have to do that with series as well, or I burn out in the sense of like, then I'm sad it's over.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I highly recommend his writing. And I was actually surprised based on some of his descriptions of things. I mean, they're kind of gory. I was surprised that you were into them, but
he writes very well. Most of the gore I can just kind of skim over because
you do skim read them.
When you not skim read, but with Grady you can also tell kind of like what's about to happen. So I'm like, okay, I can skip this paragraph and this paragraph.
Oh, and that's like the thing that I'm pretty sure because Susan, if I remember correctly, didn't she say there's one thing that like frustrated her, ticked her off? I don't remember how she worded it, and I was like, yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's probably the same thing that I got ticked off at. I told Jerry when because he reads a lot too, and sometimes there's books that like I read that we both read, and sometimes I'm like, oh, you're never going to read this. Let me tell you about my book. And I was telling him, in hindsight, He told us this thing was going to happen the entire book. And then when it happened, you were like, ooh, and you're angry. But then you completely finish the book and you're like, I'm still angry, but he actually told me it was going to happen. Yeah. But genre hopping, I don't know how to explain it to a lot of people, but I've just found a common theme that you either are a genre hopper, in the sense of like what you and I do, or you're a person that like has very clear genres and you're like, that one is not for me. I'm not doing that one, blah, blah, blah. I find it fascinating. There's a whole, like, there's all kinds of it. Basically, anything we ever talk about, just go to TikTok if you want to go more in depth.
Yeah. Well, now we will move on to our next segment, which is recent reads and acquisitions.
I'm going to let you go first and tell me about all the lovely things.
Okay. I had 2 more 5-star reads for the year since we last recorded.
That's fantastic.
I loved these books. The first one was Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross.
Okay.
I describe it as... Do what?
I don't realize which book you were talking about. I haven't read it, but I went, oh, yes.
I describe it as You've Got Mail during World War II.
Oh.
That is the best way I know how to just like a quick little sentence about it. Mm-hmm. I absolutely loved this book. There's a little bit of mythology mixed in with it as well. The second one comes out in December. I'm anxiously awaiting the second one. I think it's just supposed to be a duology. Yes, I did. I actually got this through Libby, and I was like, I need to add this to my collection. My other 5-star read is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. Mm-hmm. This was my first Riley Sager book. It will definitely not be my last. I thought I had it all figured out. It's supposed to be like a mystery thriller. Thought I had it figured out. Bam! No, I didn't. And then I thought I had it figured out again.
Is that the one you were complaining about the other day? That you were like, this is that guy!
Because it has like several twists. And you're like, okay, I got this figured out. No, you don't. I promise you don't. If anyone had this figured out, you need to let me know because I want to test your IQ.
But I kind of like when you're reading a mystery thriller and I get to the end and I didn't figure it out, because as someone that reads a lot of cozy mysteries, I too often have it figured out.
Yeah.
Which I like as well, because sometimes I just want that. I just want that, like, I already know what's going to happen. This is cool. Let's go with the story. Let's go with the cozy to it. But I sometimes like these more deep, like deeper, darker mysteries where I'm like, shut up when I get to the end. Like, I enjoy that.
Yeah, that's how this one was. This one also has a little bit of a creepy vibe to it.
Ooh. It'll
make your skin crawl a little bit. So The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager, 5 out of 5. Nice. Let's see. Another one, I gave this one 4 stars.
Okay.
It is Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. She's the same author that wrote Rock, Paper, Scissors. This one's about a woman who is in a coma, but she can still hear and not necessarily see, but she can like envision what's going on around her just from the sounds and everything.
She can see it, but and I've heard that a lot. People in comas like can actually sometimes hear exactly what you're saying.
And it's just her trying to figure out how she got in this coma, what happened to her, everything that led up to it. And It's another mystery thriller. Another one, I gave this one 3 stars, is The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer.
Okay.
It is Meg's first novel. I would describe it as, imagine Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but revolving around books instead of chocolate.
Ooh. That's a great descriptor. I'm there.
Yeah. I gave it 3 stars. It was very slow at some points, but I really liked the plot of the book. It was really interesting. You do feel for the main character and what she's going through, even though she doesn't make great decisions sometimes. She's kind of impulsive. I would still recommend it, and I'd be interested to see what else Meg writes in the future.
Okay.
One book I read that I did not care for is In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune.
I thought you might talk about this one.
I have read his other two novels, The House in the Cerulean Sea and Under the Whispering Door. Those were fantastic. I love those books. They are, I would put them kind of in the cozy fantasy realm because they give you all the warm fuzzies. They're light, easy reads. There's not a lot happening. You just kind of go with the flow. And they just leave you with a happy ending and everything's tied up in a cute little bow. In the Lives of Puppets is nothing like those at all. It's like a mixture of Pinocchio and The Matrix, and like I don't know what else. And it was just weird. It got very sexual at some points for no reason. I think I gave it 2 stars only because it was well written. It just wasn't a good story.
It makes me wonder if that screenshot I sent you, if the removal of the stuff that which I honestly think is bullcrap. So my understanding, and I sent this to Bianca, I've been wanting to read his books because, one, apparently he deals with a lot of autistic settings. He may not come right out and say it, but they are people in his books. And I've always wanted to read that. And Bianca's raved about his works. So I've really wanted to do that. And I sent Bianca the screenshot when she's like, this wasn't for me. I'm very bothered, or I don't remember what you said. So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you were essentially telling us that you weren't happy, and it was very weird because it's not what you know of that, of this author's writing. And I sent you a screenshot because I had actually saved this because I, for some reason, thought this one was way heavier on the autistic, letting you know, the life of a person with autism. And then I read the screenshot more, and it appears that was the author's intention, but he did sensitivity readers, which I appreciate. Thank you. But I don't remember. I'd have to pull it up. He had either 4 or 5.
Yeah, he had a few.
He had 4 or 5, and the majority of them said, yeah, go with it. It's great. And these were people, apparently, sensitivity readers, from my understanding, were also autistic or had a tie to the autistic community and could speak for them. Or not speak, I don't want to say speak for them, but that's a bad choice of words. Anyway, they had the expertise to say this would be appropriate. And the one reader said, no. And I guess the publishing company decided to go with that one person that was like, no. So they they went into the book and removed all sentences that blatantly said anything in regards to autism. And now that makes me wonder, how would it have read? Would you have enjoyed the book if they'd left that in?
Yeah, maybe.
Would it have changed all of the things that you were like, ooh?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I will say The House on the Cerulean Sea does a really good representation of autism. The author doesn't come right out and say, this character has autism. It's just demonstrated in how the character portrays themselves and their mannerisms and how they think and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's in there a little bit for Under the Whispering Door. It's not like a focal point or anything, and it's definitely not there for In the Lives of Puppets. Like I said, this book, it's about robots, which that's cool. That's fine. I was prepared for that, but there was a lot of unnecessary sexual references and innuendos, and it's it just didn't fit with the story, and it would go on and on and on and be constantly being brought back up. And I'm just
like romance books that I've told you that obviously I'm okay with adult time, but when an author just keeps adding it for the sake of having it, I don't like that. I don't like it in television shows. I don't like it in movies. I don't like it in books. Adding stuff for the sake, I'm the same with gore and, I like John Wick, but everything that was done in John Wick served a purpose. But I hate movies that just like add like brutality for the sake of it, or gore for the sake of it, or So I understand what you're saying. Like I don't like that.
It probably would have read different if it pertained to actual people. But like I said, this book is mainly about robots. So I'm just like, why? It's just, and I talked to another friend of mine. She's also a huge fan of TJ Klune. She felt the same way I did. She was like, I just got the ick from this one. It wasn't for me. I'm glad you read it because I wanted to know that I wasn't alone in this. And I was like, no, you're not alone.
I think I will probably still give it a go because I've read nothing of his, but based on everything that you've told me, it sounds like it doesn't need to be the first one of his books that I read. I will
always recommend reading House on the Cerulean Sea first.
I knew your love for that one was deep. So
it's so good. Those were. I didn't obviously choose all of my recent reads. Those are just a few of the standout ones.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my acquisitions, I've gotten 2 from the library. One is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. She's the one who wrote Babel, and her newest book is Yellowface. You've probably seen that floating around.
I've marked those to read.
Babel's really good. I enjoyed it. Have not read Yellowface yet. The Poppy War is I think it's a trilogy. It's a fantasy trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And I've enjoyed what I've read from her, so I'm excited to start that. And then I also picked up Red Rising by Pierce Brown.
Ooh, I've heard that's really good.
It's another fantasy read. Like I said, I've been on a fantasy kick lately, so we'll see how those 2 go. And then this is one I bought, but I didn't know what I was buying. I did one of those mystery book things where the book's all wrapped up and it has like a quick descriptor on the covers. So it ended up being Wahala by Nikki May.
Okay.
There's stuff in the cover. I did not know that.
Woohoo, free stuff.
It's a bookmark.
Yeah.
But it follows 4 different women and just kind of their life intertwining.
Mm-hmm.
My husband, he picked up the book because after I unwrapped it, he was like, I want to read what it is. And evidently somewhere on here, it's described as the Nigerian Sex in the City.
No!
I was like, what? Because those that know me, that's not something that I would naturally gravitate towards. And that is not what the descriptor on the label said.
Did it get mixed up?
I don't like the descriptor said 4 women, friendship, something, something, something. So I guess that could technically be like Sex in the City. But I was just like,
I never really got into those.
I didn't either. But when he read me that, I was driving and he was in the passenger seat looking it over and he was like, wow.
And I can see his face too. And I hear his Bradley, wow. Sorry, everybody's like, why are they dying laughing? It's like, because I know her husband and it's just funnier.
Brad has a very dry sense of humor, and sometimes you don't realize that he's like making a joke because he has like a dead serious face most of the time.
It's the best.
So yeah. So what are your recent reads and acquisitions, Miranda?
Recent reads is definitely tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow because you have it on your reading list to read. I won't do many spoilers. I actually took notes for once. Normally I just give people my overview, but I had some strong thoughts through a few points. I still gave it 5 stars. I won't lie. And I think one of my new favorite book quotes comes from the book that this gives nothing away, but at one point, one of the characters is having a conversation with his grandmother about something, and she's talking about, to give preface, so everybody's like, I don't even know what that quote means. She's talking about in her mind. She says, there are no ghosts up here, but it's a haunted house. And for some reason, that hit me in a way that I was like, that was deep.
I love that.
I love this quote so much. I want it on all the things. I want it on a mug. I want it on my body. I want it yes. But I felt that very hardcore. There's an incident that happens towards the end of the book, and the incident itself didn't make me cry. But later on, when they're describing the cleaning up of what happens, that was very, very hard. And the main character, whose name is Sadie Miranda Green, great name, Sadie. I went back and forth with being so pissed off at her and then feeling sorry for her and being angry at her, because I will go ahead and tell you, communication in this book, communication would go a long way between a few between our main characters, our three main characters.
Are there 3 points of view?
So for the most of the part, it's talking about, it's like, so Sadie did this and Marks did that, blah, blah, blah. And then at a couple of points, you hear directly from Marks, and it's like, I was walking towards this and I was doing, and then, so the main is just like your normal, like, Sadie and Marks were doing this. And then you have, but it tells you, like, you realize, like, who is speaking when it does shift, and it doesn't do it a bunch. It doesn't go back and forth a bunch. And when you read the book, you will understand why the author did that at that moment. It makes sense. It works.
Okay.
It's very good. And it spans over a huge chunk of our character's lifetime. I will say, if you are a gamer, you will love a lot of the references in this book. Our main characters are gamers. They talk about creating video games a lot through this book, owning video game company. So if that's not your jam, maybe you'll get a lot of mixed up and confused. I actually read a review where somebody was like, I DNF'd this book halfway through. I didn't understand what they were talking about, and nothing made sense. And I was like, it was right before I started this book, and knowing I was going to start it, and I was like, okay. And then I read it, and I was like, this is clearly someone who is not a gamer. And that's why she was like, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't care about. She's like, it just drug on. I wish I'd saved the review, because listen, I'm not saying that person is wrong for their review. That's how they truly felt. But I think that this is a book that will speak loudly to a specific group of people more than others, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, there are some trigger warnings in it for people. If you're a person that needs to look those up, I keep forgetting to ask my friend, but I have a friend that she looks before she reads any book, because she knows that she's highly sensitive to certain topics. There's a website that she uses, if one of you guys knows what it is, or maybe you know what it is, where you can actually look up like what the trigger warning tags are for it. I don't think it's any that's going to bother you, but there are some things that might bother people. So there is death that happens throughout the book, and dealing with death throughout growing up. There's sickness, like different kinds of sickness, things like that. So I try to be mindful. I try to be nice. I mean, I know some people say we shouldn't have to give trigger warnings, but I feel it's just like a nice thing to do. Because you don't want someone ever yelling at you, like, and screaming and throwing something is like, you told me to read this book, you know. So,
that's me.
Right. I honestly have been trying to be very mindful with my acquisitions. For lots of reasons, but I've been trying to be really mindful. But I did get a book from author I have spoke about many times on many of the podcasts that I have been part of over the last, I think, like 8 years at this point, 7 years, something like that. Tanya Kappas, who is a cozy mystery writer. That's her main genres, are mystery, cozy mystery. And I'm a part of her, like, author Patreon, which I think is the coolest thing, that all these authors are going to Patreon and you can get their books early, or you can get chapters of their books early. It's fantastic. And I just got my copy. It's number 6 in her holiday cozy mystery books called 4th of July Forgery. And that came in the mail. So I was really excited about that one. And then I promised.
Can you spell her last name for me?
Kappes.
Okay.
She is a fellow Kentucky gal. And I actually found her for that exact reason. When I got heavy into cozy mysteries again many years ago, I was reading a book set in Kentucky, and she apparently is friends with the author that I was reading that I had befriended, and that author said, I think you'll really like this person. And I said, okay. And then I didn't think about it for a while. And then I decided to do a listen to the Sookie Stackhouse books, because I think I told you guys this before. I actually watched the show before I read the books. And that really made me want to read all the books. And now Charlaine Harris is one of my favorite authors. But what brought me back to Tanya after forgetting someone had recommended her, was the narrator that narrates the Sookie Stackhouse series, narrates some of one of Tanya's series. And I will do this thing where if I really like a narrator, I will see what else they have put their voice to. And I looked and I was like, Tanya Kappes, why does it sound familiar? And then I looked her up and it said she was from Kentucky, and a lot of her books are set in Kentucky. And I was like, boop, sold. And then throughout the time, I have had book discussions with her. She's a fantastic human. So if you are interested in cozy mysteries, go check her out. She's on all the socials. She's so funny. She's very Southern with her accent, and she's just the sweetest thing ever. And I want to know what she's on that allows her to pump out the books the way that she does, and they're all good. Because this woman be pumping out so many books. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. And then I promised a shout out and hey, will you guys go check out her book? Hang on just a second, because my stuff is being a pain in the butt.
Yay, technology.
Yay! It's like not wanting to cooperate. I've actually mentioned her here before, and she sent me a book to read. Oh my God, this is horrible. My brain doesn't work. Don't you hate when this happens? Anne Kemp. She also the sweetest. She's fantastic. She writes rom-coms, chick lit. So I think she has some cozy mysteries. A lot of hers are just sweet romances with sass, is how she talks about them. But the reason I told her that I would mention her again is she's decided to have a competition with herself. And
Okay.
she has a new book coming out called The Art of Falling in Love with Your Enemy. And she has made a goal for herself to, she wants to do a bundle giveaway with a coffee mug, tote bag, and a paperback of this book. But not only does she want to do that, she wants to do it for you and your book bestie. So she wants to give 2 sets because she says buddy reads are the best. So I would like to encourage everyone to go over and check out Anne and her reads, all of them. I've read multiples of her. They are funny. There's one that I read that literally straight off the bat, the girl has dropped something and her hand is stuck in the toilet at her house. And she lives in this really small area. So everybody knows everyone. And she has to call 911 because her arm is stuck in the toilet. And the 911 operator knows who she is. And then they send the hot fireman, who is her brother's best friend that she hasn't seen in years because she just moved back. So it's like a brother's best friend meet cute / second chances, and it's adorable and it is funny, and I wish more people knew about Anne. Tanya too. So check out Anne. She is on TikTok, and buy her books. I think some of them are on Kindle Unlimited if you have a Kindle Unlimited. If not, they are all beyond reasonable on Kindle. So, and I hope you reach your goal. And I love you. I think Bianca would love you. And I think most of our readers would too. So go follow her and read all her books.
I just looked up The Art of Falling in Love with Your Enemy on Goodreads, and it says clean romance.
Yeah, she's clean.
So I will definitely have to check that out.
That's what I'm saying. She's for you. She's funny and they're clean. And it's like, if I remember a couple of the books that I've read of hers, like you just lightly insinuate like someone, or there was one that like you're waiting for the kiss to happen for forever. Like things like that. They're very cute. They're very sweet. But they're funny. They're funny. So I highly recommend. So those are my acquisitions. I really don't have a lot right now. I do have a pile from the library, but I think it's still a lot of the same ones I talked about last month because I'm behind. But that's okay. That is okay. That's why the library has recheck.
Recheck, renew.
Yeah. Ours auto. We have a new system and it will auto renew.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it will now auto renew when your first set of days are up, and it will auto renew you 2 times before it sends you a warning email and then says, "Hey, final due."
Nice.
Yeah, look, moving on up in technology in our you go Army MWR library. I'm proud of you for finally coming into the new age. Woo woo. If you've ever used the Army MWR library, you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah.
Well, if y'all want any more from us, you can always follow us on Instagram. We are Bells with Books Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram. I am Styling Freak. You'll just get random stuff from me. There's no theme. It's just my life and my thoughts. So you're welcome. You can also look us up on the TikTok. We are... It messed up our screen name, if I remember correctly.
It did. I know I typed with, but it's Bells W Books Pod.
Yeah.
Maybe you could pop it up on our stories, with like the link, like follow us on the Clock app.
Yeah, I'll try to do that.
Yeah. Thank you for everyone who is engaging with us there. Bianca's also on the TikTok. Her TikToks are pretty cool.
I'm also Styling Freak on TikTok.
Yeah. You're across the board, pretty much. If you want to follow Bianca, that's what she is at Styling Freak.
Yeah.
TikTok and Instagram are where I'm comfortable with people following me as well. On TikTok, my actual handle is at Mom's a Nerd. On Instagram, if you type in at Mom's a Nerd, that's not my handle, but like I don't want to change it. I've had that handle since the beginning of Instagram. But you will still find me by typing in at Mom's a Nerd. I am the first option. Follow us there. Next month, do we want to go ahead and tell them what we're going to do?
Yeah.
Okay. So next month we have decided that we are going to kind of start getting cozy. It's September. For me, things are cooling off. Maybe not so much for poor Bianca, but maybe they'll be better than 116 degrees. But September, we're gonna get cozy. We're not gonna get horror yet. We're not gonna get dark yet, but we're gonna get cozy. And so I thought, from inspiration from Meg's Tea Room, why not do a cozy fantasy read? So, more to come on that. I don't think we've decided yet whether we're reading together or separate, but once we do, be sure to also go over to our Goodreads. We do have a Goodreads, and we will pop the book up there as well on our socials of what we will be reading so that you can follow along if you would like to read in advance. And so you could do that. Of course, we appreciate your support so much. And I want to give one last shout out to our winner from June who finally received her stuff because shipping be slow from the international side here. Thank you, Kelly, again for all your support and sharing of our socials. I really appreciate it. It made our first giveaway, I think, spectacular because I was really nervous about it. Like, I won't lie. So maybe we'll have another one in the future on a different platform this time. But thank you so much. Bianca, anything else you want them to know?
No, just keep cool and keep reading.
Yes, always keep reading. Till next time, bye!